The rain hammered against the windows of our Chicago apartment, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. Barnaby, a software developer at a mid-sized tech firm, had always considered myself a logical man, a man of reason. But what I was about to discover defied all logic, all reason. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly. My wife, Winifred, a talented architect, began working later hours. A big project, she'd explain, her eyes flitting away from mine. I dismissed it, attributing it to the pressures of her demanding career. We'd been married for 12 years, a seemingly solid foundation built on love, trust, and shared dreams. Or so I thought. The first crack appeared when I found a receipt for an expensive restaurant, a place Winifred and I had never been to. "Business dinner," she said, a little too quickly. I let it go, but a seed of doubt had been planted. Then came the late-night phone calls, the hushed whispers. The passwords suddenly changed on her phone and laptop. My unease grew, festering like a wound I couldn't bring myself to examine. One evening, Winifred told me she had to attend a conference in Minneapolis for 3 days. "It's crucial for my career, Barnaby," she pleaded, her voice laced with a sincerity that now makes me want to retch. I kissed her goodbye at the airport, a knot of anxiety tightening in my stomach. As soon as she was through security, I did something I never thought I was capable of. I logged into her email account. I knew her password, a combination of our anniversary and our dog's name. The guilt gnawed at me, but the need to know was overwhelming. What I found shattered my world. A string of emails between Winifred and a man named Jasper, a landscape designer she had met at a charity gala 6 months ago. The emails were explicit, filled with declarations of love, lust, and longing. They detailed secret rendezvous, stolen moments, and a future they planned to build together. My hands trembled as I scrolled through the messages, each word a dagger twisting in my heart. The conference in Minneapolis. A lie. She was spending the weekend with Jasper at a secluded cabin in Wisconsin. The rain outside intensified, as if the heavens themselves were weeping for my broken heart. I felt a surge of anger, a burning rage that threatened to consume me. But beneath the anger was a profound sense of betrayal, a deep, aching sadness that threatened to drown me. How could she do this to me, to us? Had our entire marriage been a lie, I spent the next few hours in a daze, pacing the apartment, replaying the emails in my mind. I considered confronting her immediately, but I knew I needed a plan. I couldn't let her see how deeply she had wounded me. I needed to gather evidence to prepare myself for the inevitable confrontation. The next morning, I contacted a private investigator. I needed to know everything about Jasper, about their affair, about the extent of Winifred's deception. His name was Cormac, and he seemed like a gruff, no-nonsense man. I told him everything, my voice cracking with emotion. Cormac listened patiently, his eyes narrowed in concentration. "I'll get you the information you need, Barnaby," he said, his voice firm and reassuring. For the next few days, I lived a double life. I went to work, I smiled, I pretended that everything was normal. But inside, I was a shattered man, consumed by anger, sadness, and a burning desire for justice. Cormac called me 3 days later. He had a file for me, filled with photographs, documents, and detailed accounts of Winifred and Jasper's affair. They had been seeing each other for months, meeting at hotels, restaurants, and even at Winifred's office during lunch breaks. Jasper was married, too, to a woman named Meredith, and had 2 young children. The revelation that Jasper was also married added another layer of complexity to the betrayal. It wasn't just about Winifred and me. It was about the devastation they were inflicting on another family. I felt a pang of sympathy for Meredith, a woman I had never met but who was now bound to me by the shared experience of betrayal. I decided to confront Winifred as soon as she returned from her conference. I wanted her to look me in the eye and lie to my face. I wanted to see the guilt in her eyes, the shame in her expression. When she walked through the door, she looked tired but happy. "How was Minneapolis?" I asked, my voice deceptively calm. "Oh, it was great," she replied, her eyes sparkling. "I learned so much." I handed her the file Cormac had given me. Her face paled as she opened it, her eyes widening in horror as she saw the photographs of her and Jasper. What is this?" She stammered, her voice trembling. "This is the truth, Winifred," I said, my voice cold and hard. This is the evidence of your betrayal. This is the end of our marriage." She started to cry, begging me to forgive her. "It was a mistake, Barnaby," she sobbed. "I didn't mean for it to happen. I still love you." But her words rang hollow. The trust was gone, shattered beyond repair. "I don't believe you," I said. "You've lied to me for months. You've betrayed me in the worst possible way." "I can never forgive you." Winifred moved out the next day. The apartment felt empty, silent, haunted by the ghost of our shattered marriage. I filed for divorce, and the proceedings were swift and brutal. Winifred didn't contest anything. She knew she was in the wrong. But the legal battles were just the beginning of my journey. I still had to deal with the emotional fallout, the anger, the sadness, the sense of loss. I decided to confront Jasper. I needed to look him in the eye and tell him what he had done, not just to me, but to his own family. I found his address and drove to his house in a wealthy suburb of Chicago. As I stood outside his door, I felt a surge of anger, a primal urge to inflict pain. But I knew that violence wouldn't solve anything. I took a deep breath and rang the doorbell. Jasper opened the door, his face etched with surprise. "Barnaby," he said, his voice laced with apprehension. "What are you doing here?" "I wanted to talk to you," I said, my voice calm but firm. "About Winifred, about what you've done." I told him everything, about the emails, the lies, the betrayal. I told him about the pain he had inflicted on me, on Winifred, and on his own family. Jasper listened in silence, his face growing paler with each word. When I was finished, he looked down at the ground, shame etched on his face. "I'm sorry, Barnaby," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "I never meant for any of this to happen." "That's not good enough," I said. "You've destroyed 2 families. You've betrayed the trust of your wife and children. You need to tell Meredith the truth." Jasper agreed, and I left his house, feeling a sense of grim satisfaction. At least he was going to face the consequences of his actions. I later learned that Meredith had filed for divorce and kicked Jasper out of the house. He lost his job and was ostracized by his friends and colleagues. His life was in ruins, a fitting punishment for his betrayal. As for Winifred, she moved to another state and started a new life. I heard through mutual friends that she was working as a freelance architect, struggling to make ends meet. I felt a flicker of pity for her, but I quickly suppressed it. She had made her choices, and she had to live with the consequences. It took me a long time to heal from the betrayal. I went to therapy. I spent time with friends and family, and I focused on my work. Slowly but surely, I began to rebuild my life. I learned to trust again, to love again, and to believe in myself. The scars of the betrayal will always be there, but they no longer define me. I am a stronger, wiser, and more resilient man because of what happened. And I am grateful for the lessons I learned, even though they came at a great cost. One day, I received a letter from Meredith. She thanked me for confronting Jasper and for helping her to see the truth. She told me that she was doing well, that she had found a new job and was rebuilding her life with her children. She ended the letter by saying that she hoped we could meet someday, that we could share our stories and support each other. I smiled, feeling a sense of connection with this woman who had also been betrayed. Perhaps, in time, we could become friends. Perhaps, in time, we could both find happiness again. The rain has stopped now, and the sun is shining through the clouds. The storm inside me has passed, leaving behind a sense of peace and hope. I am finally free, free from the lies, free from the betrayal, free to live my life on my own terms. And that is the greatest revenge of all.